Howdy, y'all. I'm Mayor Graves. Grab your favorite beverage, punch the clock, and let's go to work today in Liberty County. We have workers, but now we have no jobs. Our unemployment is sitting at 37%. We're going to solve that problem today by building our supply chain industries. Pollution is going to be so bad, we may have to bribe the EPA to look the other way by the end of today's episode. We'll start by adding the Steelworks factory. This is a huge asset, so we'll have to make some room by destroying some roads and pushing some dirt. We'll also clear out the trees while we're at it. We're going to need more parking, so we'll build a row of parking the length of the building and connect it to the connections built into the asset. We'll fast forward through some detailing by adding a stained concrete surface and giving our factory a bit of a grungy feeling, and we'll continue the fencing around the entire property. we'll add the milling and rolling unit upgrade, and that will increase our industrial efficiency 5% countywide. Well, damn, adding the upgrade just interfered with some of our detailing we just did, so let's jump back in real quick and fix things back up so we can move on to our next industry. Next, we'll add the concrete batch plant with the ready mix facility upgrade, and we'll place the gravity separation unit next to it. We'll jump back over across from the Steelworks factory and do some more terraforming and bulldozing roads to build a blast furnace with the foundry upgrade. This will give us another 5% industrial efficiency countywide. Story of the day seems to be destroying our roads, so we'll do some more so we can build the fabrication unit. We ran out of water, so we'll quickly increase our budget and turn the water back on. Let's continue polluting the city by next adding the casting fabricator. We'll leave the roads intact for this one. While we're over here, Let's add a transformer station and bury the power connection 150 feet underground, connected up to the power plant. Before we completely choke the city out, we're going to add some of these awesome generic light industry buildings from 126 Silly Boy on PDX Mods. I really love the size and scale of these buildings. We won't be using all of them here in Bedrock Valley, but we will be using some of them. There are 5 buildings in the set, and we'll use 3 of them. We'll add some additional parking because we're going to use Change Company to boost up the number of employees for these buildings. We won't change the production of these for now, but I may come back later and do so depending on the needs of the city. Since we've destroyed so many of our roads, we'll add some back by creating a small grid here with some parking and zone a couple blocks of some light industrial. Let's move down to the front of our freight yard and do some terraforming, and we'll go ahead and remove a lot of the remaining trees from our blocks. Here, we'll add in some industrial warehousing, and the location should give quick, easy access to our rail line. We'll continue by adding another block of generic light industry using some of Joe Industrial's buildings. These look like they could have been some of the first industrial buildings in Bedrock Valley, and we'll add a red brick paver walkway between them and put some parking across the street. We've unlocked our first supply chain office building, the strip mine office, so let's make some room to give our first office building in the city a home. We've stockpiled some development points, so let's use some of them now. We'll unlock park maintenance, sports parks, and large parks. Even though we used historical start to gain early access to trains, we'll unlock trains so we have access to the full slate of rail development when the time comes and the need arises. With all of our available supply chain industries built in the city, let's now turn our focus on adding some much needed services before we have large-scale protests. We'll start by adding the Rural Recycling Center near our power plant and award the city's garbage contract to waste management. This building should be able to handle all of Bedrock Valley's waste disposal needs. Next, we'll add medical, fire, and police services to the city. We'll add them all in the same block and give them easy access to get anywhere within a timely manner. We'll use the Rural Medical Center, With all of this heavy industry, we definitely need fire protection. The Netherlands fire station will fit in the block here next to our medical clinic and should be suitable for our needs. Our city is experiencing a crime wave, So we'll add a police services next, and for this we'll use the small police station. Let's draw out our district line around what will be our city limits for Bedrock Valley, so we can assign all of our services to stay within the city limits, and we'll activate all of the available city policies with the exception of the Urban Cycling Initiative. Roadside parking fees will cost our citizens a hefty $50 price tag to park on the streets, and taxis will also pay a hefty fee of a $50 base fare. We'll quickly jump back in and assign our services to the city of Bedrock Valley. Although the population of Bedrock Valley won't be enormous, we still need an elementary and high school to serve our citizens. We'll use the Orion Elementary School and the Atlas High School custom assets from Patrickette. I think they will fit in well with Bedrock Valley and should have all the capacity we'll need. We'll place them adjacent to each other, use recolor to match the color schemes, and add a little student and teacher parking. That will be all for today for our city services, so let's move on and add some more residential and commercial to our growing city. I initially said in the last video that I didn't want any residential facing our main road, Flintstone Loop. However, I think I've changed my mind on that. I think as long as it's not single family homes, it should be okay. With that in mind, we'll build out the Riverview apartments in this block. We'll have buildings facing all 4 roads, and we'll add parking and a touch of landscaping. We have a lot of street parking going on. As a temporary solution, I'm going to add a couple of these underground parking garages for the time being. We'll probably come back in a later episode and straighten the situation out. It's a pricey temporary solution, but we had some funds left over from the donation of a private donor from bribing the EPA. Next order of business is making all of these jelly bean row houses historical and locking them in place right now. I don't want them reaching level 4 or 5 because then they all spawn garages with side access and it'll be a mess to straighten out with a lot of eminent domain. With those locked in, let's move just to the south of them and we will attempt to fill some of our high residential demands by adding some of the Eastern European low-rent housing. I don't want any tall buildings in Bedrock Valley, and these Eastern European assets should fit in nicely. We'll add some parking and a little bit of landscaping before moving forward. We're going to hop into a super speed time lapse as I drop some of the parks we unlocked around our residential neighborhoods and apartment complexes. I'll see you on the other side. We're now going to replace these two-story commercial buildings we built last episode with mixed-use buildings. Next in line today, we'll be adding some custom commercial retail assets that would make sense for Bedrock Valley. We'll start by adding a Home Depot here around the center of town. I've seen some Home Depot and Lowe's with massive parking lots, and I've seen some with some more modest sized lots depending on the area they're located in. Our Home Depot here in Bedrock Valley will have a smaller sized parking lot, and we'll add a little bit of landscaping out front. We'll flank the parking lot with a Domino's Pizza on one side and an Axion gas station on the other. We'll come down to our main stretch in front of our Seaboard Regional Transit passenger rail station and add in some more buildings. Let's start by adding the Go Bank local branch bank and a Whataburger on this block. Then we'll skip over a block and add in an Applebee's. Let's jump back up closer to our residential neighborhoods and build the Dollar General. Then we'll scoot down to Flintstone Loop and we'll build an AutoZone and a Starbucks. And in between those two, why not? Let's build a cheesecake factory and tidy up the services. We'll boost our population some more and add more workers by building some apartments in this half block. We'll use assets that have their own parking built in this time, but we'll throw down some trees to create some separation from the residences behind them. For our last half block here, we'll use the 2 deep Netherlands medium apartments. I love these assets with the built-in parks. We'll use Move It to tighten them up against the block and use Platter to help us squeeze in a small parking lot and put a line of California oaks in the rear to cover up the terrain imperfections behind the buildings. Next, we'll clean up some of the terrain over here where we cut into the hillside earlier and build out our joint headquarters for our road department and our parks department. We're going to need the parks department up and running with all the parks we built earlier. We'll move over to Flintstone Loop I want to level off some of the terrain and remove the trees. We'll be doing some building on this side of the loop. While we're at it, might as well do some smoothing out on the rest of our parcels in the city. Our last order of the day will be adding a church and small cemetery and building a row of offices using the custom roadside offices assets also by Patrick. With that, I think we will clock out here today and pick it back up next time. With our unemployment rate in Bedrock Valley now sitting at 1.2% and our population more than doubled to almost 3,700 residents, we may have over-accomplished our goals for today. Thank you for clocking in with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please drop a like, leave a comment or suggestion, and hit the subscribe button. It's all greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.